You don't have to prove anything to anyone, especially not yourself. There's nothing else to prove. You already are enough. My whole life, my whole journey was to prove I was enough. Creation's done. You're not getting updates. You're not getting anything installed. You already have within you everything you need to be whatever you need to be. You change your internal understanding of yourself, your external changes. That's the start of the journey. It's that awareness. And so when you're talking about this healing journey and you're taking steps, you may be messing up. Failing is required for success. But when you're starting something new, you're so afraid of that.
It would be a win if I only had 4 cavities next time I go to the dentist.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Ready to rock? How's the new lighting? How everything's working well? You excited, Bobby? I know how happy you are. All right, let's rock and roll. Cool. You mind if I pray for us a little bit for a second?
Not at all.
Father God, thank you for bringing all these amazing people together for a mission greater than ourselves. Thank you so much for the opportunity to just be able to connect with a new individual. Thank you for our health. Thank you for all the trials and tribulations that we've had that we've overcome. And we pray that this podcast is a lot bigger than us and that it allows us to inspire a lot of individuals and move mountains. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. That's a good way to start it, right?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Mr. Jonathan Walker, thanks so much for coming on, man.
I'm happy to be here.
I love it. Thank you, Ella, by the way, for making this introduction. I don't do formal introductions, so I don't like to go lists of accolades and stuff like that. I want to motivate our listeners to kind of research you and get to know. But if you can zoom out, just for me to understand you, just as someone who's just met you, if you zoom out to like a 30,000 foot view, give me the highlight reel of Jonathan's life leading up to this time.
That's wonderful. And I love the perspective that you gave me because I can just hit the high points and then we can discuss whatever we need to discuss.
Let's hit the low points too. I want to go.
Oh, no, or just
I'm just kidding.
Terms of it, they are low points, but it's the big low points, not just the I failed a class.
Yeah, sure.
So at 11 years old, my mother passed away. I got diagnosed with cancer at 15. I fell into porn addiction, food addiction, ended up being almost 300 pounds at 23. Suffered from anxiety, depression, PTSD, from everything that I went through. Lived life with a smile. Was this very outgoing, encouraging, uplifting person that you're going to meet today throughout all of that. And then in 2020, changed my life, set on a weight loss journey, then lost 80 pounds. I failed out of college, graduated, became an engineer, left my engineering job so I could be an online coach, and now live my purpose. And I'm a new one now, recently saved and walking with God. And Amen, understanding that I had to go through everything I went through, so I have the story to tell people.
Sure. Well, a lot to unpack there. Let's rewind to when you're 11 years old. Mm-hmm. Where are you living at the time?
I'm in Trenton, New Jersey.
Trenton, New Jersey. Okay, cool. I'm from New York,
Let's go.
we cut from the same cloth.
Go.
Sorry to hear about your mom. In that exact moment, walk us through kind of what you're feeling. You don't, like, you're recently saved. God's not at the forefront, it sounds like, at the time. 11 years old is a confusing time of your life. What happens after that? How lost do you feel? Help us understand how it shifted in that moment.
So trauma erases memories. And I'm writing my book. It's called Do More. I'm working on sharing this whole story. And I tried so hard to figure out what happened in my life, what decisions I made, how I felt after. But, thankfully to my brain, I don't. And so I remember I was in Florida. My grandma got a call. My aunt says my mom's been found dead. They tell me I'm crying. I don't know what that means. That memory ends right there. The next memory I have is going to my house to grab my things because I'm not living there anymore. That memory ends. And then the next memory is my mom's funeral, where the only thing I remember is my best friend was there. And at 11 years old, it's not cool to cry. Mm-hmm. And I'm crying. And my best friend's there. He's crying. His mom's crying. I can't even tell you where my sister was at this funeral. It's just that one moment is all I have. Then the next memory is at 11 years old and 13 years old, me and my sister have to decide, do we want to live with our absentee, neglectful father or go live with our grandparents who raised us? We chose our father. And with that, I didn't get any conversation from my dad about what happened. I was in grief counseling and other programs in school, but the person that I lived with, that was my father, didn't talk to me about it. Me and my sister, we didn't talk about it. We never really cried together. I don't know how she dealt with it, but I immediately found porn when I moved in with my dad, found food, and just numbed everything. I focused on being happy and things that brought me joy and distracted me from thinking my own thoughts. So that includes video games as well. And so the feelings were, I need to do anything I can to stay happy because I'm not.
Sure.
To answer that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And we talk about it a lot on this podcast of how trauma operates within us and how disassociation and numbness can be so close to well-being. It's right there on that line. So we can trick ourselves, especially as men, that we can just, pun intended, do more and just like work through it because we're mentally tough. Mm-hmm. But how have you, like, knowing, you know, after years have gone by, knowing what you know now, how important is it to have processed that trauma, to actually turn that from a numbness to a well-being, and how have you been able to do that?
I'm not going to explicitly answer your question, but I now know that moment in losing my mother was one of the first foundational moments in me becoming the man I am today. And so the man I am today is a man with purpose, with a story to share, to uplift, encourage, and empower others. And what I realized is what my 11-year-old self did was what he thought was best, which was survive.
Sure.
And shout out to him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be here without him. Of course, many detrimental mistakes were made, had to go through a lot of pain and turmoil after the traumatic events. But I actually started therapy again earlier this year due to some more panic attacks coming. And my therapist helped me realize that my 28-year-old self is responsible for that 11-year-old self that's within me. And so in therapy, I would think back to 11-year-old Jonathan and cry, just a visceral cry, not, oh my gosh, I'm crying, I'm wailing. It's just tears would flow because I know everything 11-year-old Jonathan is about to go through, everything he's about to feel about himself, and I'm so empathetic for it that I just want to hold him tightly and let him know that everything's going to be okay. And as time goes on, I've started to share more and more. And so I would jokingly say, yeah, my mom's dead in high school. Like when people go, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, I would jokingly say, why? Did you kill her? So that was obviously a defense mechanism. But now I share my story in a way that I'm not necessarily healed. I don't know if we can be healed.
Sure.
But I have made it a part of me. And so when I project and I tell my story, it's not because I'm defending myself against it. I'm one with it.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to how to process that information, vulnerability, sharing shame, being open, and choosing the right people to do it with. I was telling my story to all of my followers on Instagram, but not really getting any healing from it just because I'm talking to a screen. But when you sit down and have a conversation with somebody you love and you're just heard, especially with a therapist that you trust, you don't need answers. You don't need that person to tell you everything's going to be okay. You just need to be heard. And so the fact that I'm able to discuss my porn addiction on this podcast with you, with all these people in the room, is crazy. Because just 6 months ago, that was something I was so ashamed of. But it was a part of me. And I thought, what are these people going to think? Now I understand. They're like, well, you went through some messed up stuff, right? Now that I'm saved, I'm censoring myself. I would have just cursed a lot. But
it's okay. You could more than welcome to.
I don't like to. Yeah. I'm working on
cool.
not doing it. But with all of that, the way that I processed it was not holding it in. And so I've seen therapists before when I got real bad. I've had depressive episodes where I withdrew from college and was on a couch for months because the stem of my depression was, if we're all going to die, then why does anything matter?
Sure.
I can't take the money with me. And it was like, okay. So, but I also didn't want to kill myself because I didn't want to find out.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was never suicide. It was just like, well, I'm here. But then once you keep showing up and you persist, you have to make something of it. And that was something that made me have to speak and tell people my story, share it with people. And then after you share the most horrible thing in the world with somebody, you just feel better. And then you just do it more and more and more. And now I'm openly talking about it with you.
Sure. Because I think it also empowers other people to share their stories. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a dark moment in their life. And for me, there was a lot of shame that came up because I didn't have that crazy low valley of a story where like I was ever homeless or I had a parent pass away or anything like that. I almost felt guilty that like I was able to overcome what my challenges were, but people had significantly more challenges. So I would almost be like masochistic about it, where I was like, let me go force myself to have terrible problems because I don't feel like I'm worthy of the success on the other side of it. But I thought you brought up a great point that made me think about something where I think a lot of times we get caught, especially as you mentioned you're 28, right? So I'm a 28-year-old male as well. And as high performers, we think that like healing is this sort of destination where it's like, oh, I got to finally overcome this thing. And it's like, I overcame it and I'm empowered over it. But I've come to find, and I love your perspective on this, I think the actual destination of healing is simply going through the process of the healing itself. Mm-hmm. Like giving your best foot forward and doing your absolute best to heal and doing what you believe is your best effort at it is the actual healing itself. And you are closer to healed than you think, just by taking that next step forward and then layering it with relationships like we're building right here, and then sharing it. Would love your take on that and how you've been able to kind of materialize that for you.
Of course. Before that,
yep,
you feel guilty because you're empathetic. So it's a disguise.
Sure.
And so the empathy, us people that have gone through those more tumultuous times, we appreciate it. And I understand your journey of putting yourself through the mud to say, okay, I'm also going through hard times. I've ran marathons and done crazy things. And with that, I've learned that all we all need is resilience. And that's what it all comes down to. I just wanted to mention that
I appreciate
you and just say, we're both here in these chairs. This may be your podcast, your studio, but I'm also on this couch. No matter where we came from, we are both here and we are both equal, no matter what anybody else thinks.
Amen.
And so do your best, be diligent, and relinquishing the guilt is what I'll say. And when it comes to healing, I'll give you a quote from my Aunt Brenda. When my mother passed away, my Aunt Brenda stepped up, really took care of us. At 18, I moved in with her. And I'm in the living room one day, and Brenda comes in, and I go, Aunt Brenda, can I talk to you about something? She's like, yeah, of course, sweetie. And I say, I'm really nervous about being a bad dad. I don't know if I'm going to be good. I don't know if I had what it takes. And she looks at me and says, based on the fact that you're worried about being a bad dad, tells me you're going to be the best dad ever. Because bad dads don't worry about being bad dads. They simply are. And so when you're thinking of healing, when you're having a conversation about self-love, the fact that you're even aware of it is the act itself. Because otherwise you wouldn't even be thinking about it. And so you can apply that same principle to lots of different areas in life. But for me, for example, you can be overweight and you can make note of it sometimes here and there, maybe not look in the mirror, maybe not like that photo. But when you look in the mirror or you have a conversation with yourself and say, wow, I'm really overweight, that's the start of the journey. Not the gym membership, not the meals. It's that awareness, because ignorance is what keeps people stuck. And so when you're talking about this healing journey and you're taking steps, you may be messing up and you know that failing is required for success. But when you're starting something new, you're so afraid of that failure. So as you're working through that healing process, you're healing and you're not even aware of it. There was one thing that I read from David Goggins, and it says, you should be so involved in your labor and in your work that you aren't even able to see the fruits of your labor. And so you're healing. You just don't know because you're working on healing even more.
Because the fruit of the labor is the work itself, right? I love the perspective that you take there. Whew, that's a lot to unpack. Now, fast forward, as if it couldn't get any worse at your low moment when you're 11, 4 years later, you get diagnosed with cancer. Take us into that moment.
All right. I could talk all day about that, but I'll go through leading up to diagnosis, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Terrible back pain. The most excruciating back pain I've ever felt in my entire life. I'm a high schooler, and I'm malnourished at this point because all I'm doing for my days is laying in bed, drinking water, crying. I force myself to go to school because I have to. I'm in class, my head's down. I'm at the lunch table, I'm crying. And my dad, I've forgiven him now. We're cool. Like, we're building a relationship, so I don't feel as though I'm throwing him under the bus.
Yep.
But hit me with this man up. And it was horrible because I was trying to man up, but it was so bad. And when I get to the explanation of what it is, you'll maybe be able to somewhat understand the back pain. I go to hospital visits, and they say I have back spasms, pain medicine. Come back again, back spasms, pain medicine. I go to a different hospital, and they say I'm dehydrated or something. Finally, I call my Aunt Brenda because I'm tired of being at my dad's house where I'm upstairs crying, and my dad's downstairs drinking with his friends. I call her, and I say, hey, can I come stay with you? And he was saying, I like going over there because I like being babied. No, somebody cares about me over there, my well-being. And so Aunt Brenda got the air mattress ready, didn't blow it up all the way, so I had cushion, and I'm crying. And when I talked about crying throughout this whole back pain, I'm not talking the tears I was talking about with little Jonathan. I'm talking wailing, boo-hoo crying, asking why, just severe crying. And so in the middle of the night, Aunt Brenda wakes up and says, that's it. I can't deal with this. Mind you, I just tried out for football with all this back pain because I was also tired of being overweight. So it kind of started then. She takes me to a different hospital. They're like, hey, we found some things. We want to send you up here. They send me up here, and now this is where trauma erases memories again.
Yep.
Because I know I got a port put in my chest. I don't remember that surgery. I don't remember the first initial scans. I do remember that I was myself the entire time, smiling, laughing, making jokes, having a good time. And so when they said they needed to transfer me, I said, well, the ambulance coming. So went to the new hospital. I wake up the next day, all the aunts are in the room. I believe they may have told them that something was up, or their intuition knew what was up. I didn't know what floor I was on. I didn't know what room I was in. I think they did. Doctor comes in and says, Jonathan, we did some tests. You have leukemia. Wailing again. Not in pain because I think I'm on morphine or something at this time. And in the midst of my crying, I say, hold on, that's cancer, right? Because I had no idea what leukemia was. So leukemia is a blood cancer. They go, yeah. And at this moment in my life, the only understanding of cancer that I have is that people go bald and people die. So in that moment, I now have my future, and that's what's about to happen. And then not too long after I start crying, the doctor goes and says to me, but it's okay. We have a plan. You're going to be all right. And I'm dumbfounded at this because, it's all about this, find a cure for cancer, cure cancer this, cancer sucks that. And so I'm like, what do you mean? I thought my life was over. What are you talking about? Like, no, we have a whole chemotherapy plan. It'll be 3 years long, and you'll be good to go. There's something called remission where your body doesn't produce cancerous cells anymore. And so now to explain my leukemia and the diagnosis and the back pain. Leukemia is a blood cancer. I'm not a doctor, so take this with a grain of salt. Your blood has blood cells. They all have different functions. When you have leukemia, acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is what I had, my T cells were being produced immaturely. So the function that they were set to carry out, they weren't doing. And because it had gone on for so long, that eventually ended up drying out the bone marrow in my pelvic bone. And so one of the tests they do to see if you have cancer is study your bone marrow. So they cut me open, stuck a needle into my pelvic bone to try to get bone marrow, empty. So the essence of your bone, mine was hollow. And that's the back pain that my dad was telling me to man up with. And so from there, I'll go a little bit further and then I'll hand it back to you. I start chemotherapy. I have a funny story. There's one bag of chemo that they bring in. It's orange. My favorite color is orange. The ribbon color for leukemia is orange, like pink is breast cancer. They bring this bag out and they say, hey, Jonathan, just want to let you know, once you take this, your urine might be a different color. I'm like, bro, I don't care. Later, I forget. I go to the bathroom and my urine's orange, like Kool-Aid. I'm like, yo, this is so cool. Yeah. If they didn't give me that warning, I would have been really concerned. After that, about 3 days after we start the chemotherapy treatment, I go into remission. No more
3 days.
Yeah. No more cancer in my body. Still a whole 3-year process. Sure. That's fine, but boom, cancer-free shortly thereafter. I spent my 16th birthday in the hospital. So while everybody else is getting their license and getting a car, I'm fighting for my life. And then I'll end that with just giving you the dates. A week before my birthday, which is August 2nd, my mother passes away. A couple days before my birthday, I get my diagnosis. And so as I grew up, never really looked forward to my birthdays. And it wasn't until I was about 26, 27 that I realized that that cluster of events happens within a week.
Was there ever a moment when you're going through this all, you mentioned that you're like super positive about everything, but are you ever getting to a point where like, why me? Is God in the picture? Like, God, why are you doing this? Like, how much more do you want to break me down? I know, like, you had mentioned that you're keeping this positive, funny thing, but it's almost like a shield, like a defense mechanism for you as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to understand, like, the psychology of, like, did you ever turn to victimhood at that moment? And, like, how were you able to stay so strong? And then later, I want to talk about Aunt Brenda, because she seems like a very powerful character in the story.
And Brenda's a dog.
I want to meet Aunt Brenda. She seems awesome, man.
Yeah, you might have to wait on that one. I'll see you up there.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. So I'm looking. I'm searching. No, why me ever? And my family wasn't really Christian. Well, my grandma was Catholic. I didn't really go to church. But when I turned 12 and I was with my father's family, got baptized. And it wasn't until yesterday, I was talking with somebody and somebody said, yeah, the Holy Spirit's been with you since that day, which everything makes sense now. Because there's been things that have happened in my life that haven't been me. I'm like, oh, duh. So never had a why me. My grandma asked why when we first got the diagnosis or the information on my mom, but never the victim mentality. Just didn't happen. Mm. And I think that was the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, instilling in me the resilience to get through.
Sure.
Didn't question, because when you go through chemotherapy or you have to go to your mom's funeral, it's not an option. It's not, do I put my hair this way or this way this morning? It's, this is your funeral. This is your mom's funeral. Go. This is the medicine you have to take. Take it. And to simplify that, we're all in this room breathing. You're not choosing to breathe. You don't pick how you breathe. You breathe because you need to breathe. And that's how grieving happened. That's how showing up to chemotherapy happened. And I would challenge your observational question about if that's a shield of me being outgoing and bright and uplifting. I don't think it was.
Okay.
I think it was me shining through everything.
That's great.
And to give you a story to explain that answer. People always say, oh my gosh, you're so strong, when I tell them I'm a cancer survivor. I didn't make the medicine. I didn't research the medicine. I didn't put the medicine in me. I didn't monitor side effects. I didn't do anything that did the medical healing. But I do accept the compliment of being called strong because I didn't let the diagnosis define me. And if anything, I grew into myself more because of the situation. And so they actually called me the governor of the hospital floor because I was never in my own room. I was always talking to the other clients. I was messing with the nurses at their desks. They would try to come find me, and I just wasn't there. There was one time I took a nap in another patient's room, and somebody had to say, hey, go back to your room. And so the being myself is something that is so crucial to who I am today. And there's a Drake song. I'm no longer listening to just regular music for now, now that I'm newly saved. But there's a Drake song where the lyrics are, the things I can't change are the reason you love me. I think it's Jungle, if people want to listen to it. And that's exactly what it is. I didn't choose. Nothing within my own being was saying, I have to go talk to these people. I need to be funny. I need to smile. I had some messed up teeth, all jacked up, always smiling. And so with that, that was my way of fighting. That was my way of being me in a state of uncertainty. And when people talk about you're so strong, all I have to do is show up, get poked. They put stuff in me. Oh, okay, I feel bad. You go, you drink, maybe you feel bad the next day, you get through it. That side of everything, that's not me. Doing it with a smile, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's the most authentic you shows up in some of those valleys. Right? That's really awesome, man. Now, you had mentioned that you were going through, like you were overweight prior to the cancer diagnosis, if I listen correctly. Did you lose a lot of weight during the chemo process, and then did you put it back on? Like, let's walk through the weight loss journey, because I know it's a huge piece of kind of what you're doing career-wise, et cetera.
Yeah. So, grew up with my grandparents. Grandma cooks. An example of a meal we have for dinner is fried chicken tenders, Kraft mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. And you don't leave the table until you finish your plate. So that's my foundation for nutritional knowledge. My mother, overweight. She passed away. She was a smoker. Just got diagnosed with diabetes. That's my nutritional knowledge. My father, high blood pressure. Not really overweight, but alcoholic as well. That's my nutritional knowledge. And so with that, I enter my dad's house. I'm in a realm of a lot of independence and freedom. So eating and doing whatever. And even as a kid, I was self-conscious, low confidence, low self-esteem. Because of my weight, I stopped playing football in second grade and took on the nerd aspect of life. And cool with me. I'm so happy I was a nerd. I am a nerd, happily. But always overweight. But my mother was overweight, and she was loved. I was overweight, and I was loved. So wasn't too big of a deal, but it was always something that was there. So imagine you're running, and you get that side sticker. You could still run, but it's like there. That's what being overweight was for me until high school, when I tried out for the football team, because I was like, I don't care about football. I just can't be fat anymore. I feel horrible. And then leading up to the diagnosis, I actually was malnourished. I looked so skinny. And throughout the process of chemotherapy, you go on steroids, which make you really hungry, maintain water weight. So I blew up a lot, but not anything morbidly obese looking. It just looks like that kid's going through chemo. Yep. And he was a little hefty before. Afterwards, so it was 2012 to 2015. But by 2013, 2014, kind of living a normal life, but I have to go get some chemo here and there. And I'm overweight, but when I get to college in 2014, I get a girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the girl I'm going to marry. I've done it, because with low self-esteem, dog, I got a girlfriend. And it seemed like flawless, easy, seamless, cool. But as time goes on, I'm still not happy. When I'm laying in bed with her, when I'm on the beach or in a pool, I have a shroud of fake confidence. I can't let anybody see that I feel some type of way about my stomach. Not because anybody will bully me. That's just me talking to myself about how other people are going to perceive me. And so in 2017, I joined my fraternity brothers and started going to the gym. I was like, all right, I'm going to lose weight. I looked at my messages the other day, and my friend's like, all right, we're going to the gym at this time. And I'm like, I'm not going. And then that's it. 2018, I break up with my girl. I'm like, this isn't it. Like, okay. In the back of my mind, obviously, I want a wife one day. But I'm young, and the perceived life of men my age is I got to go sleep around. I got to go have my fun before I get locked down. So I'm like, well, in the state I was in, nobody wants me because I don't even want me. Reminder, at every single moment along my journey, I was enough. I just wasn't aware of it. Mm-hmm. So I start the gym again. I'm going. Get back with my girl. I was like, well, all right. I don't really need to do this anymore. And this is a lot of work. I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. So I quit. And she was more fit before we got together, but then we both gained weight together. 2019 comes around. I go to Georgia, and I'm working at an internship, and I have a routine now. This was the sneak peek of career Jonathan. Go to work, gym after work, cook my meals, go to bed, whatever it is. Bowl on Fridays, big bowler.
Love that.
Yeah. I'm cooking my meals, which is new, but I don't know about caloric surplus, caloric deficit. It's just like I'm not eating garbage and I'm cooking. At the end of 3 months of that internship, I gained weight. Now, if you look at the progress photos, I became a unit. It's muscle. But because I was in the surplus, or at least the maintenance, I maintained the fat. And so when I hopped on the scale afterwards and saw that the scale went up, that's it. I said, this isn't for me. I'm doing everything right. I can't do it. I wasn't doing everything right. That was 2019. 2020 comes around, and that's my mirror moment where I'm looking in the mirror and seeing who's looking back at me. Somebody that is living without his mother, survived cancer, and at this point, failed to get into his dream college and got in anyway, failed out of his dream college and got back in, failed out of his dream college again and got back in, overcame anxiety and depression, cold turkeyed medicine, psychiatrist, therapist, persevered. He's looking back at me and I don't like what I see. I'm in a relationship where I love this woman, but I'm not in love with this woman, nor do I like this woman. I used to tell myself she loves me, so I don't really need to love myself. Boy, was I wrong. And so it was then that, if you want to call it, the switch flipped. And it's like, hold on. I'm in charge of my life. And I was 23 years old. And the first thing that came from that conversation with myself, looking in the mirror shirtless, was I have to break up with my girlfriend. And because I'm such a big empathetic person, I hated confrontation. And I knew it was going to break her heart because I broke up with her before for the same reasons, but was too fearful. So 5 days go by, I'm ignoring her. Finally, I come home from school one day, and she's there. I break up with her. And this time, it isn't breaking up to go get hoes. Getting hoes it's on the mind. Would love it, but it's something that has to change. And once I break up with her, in the conversation, now I'm not throwing her under the bus, but this is what happens, and allow me to explain it once I do say it. She says to me, your stomach is the ugliest thing in the world. I feel it when we're together. I feel it when we're doing this, doing that. I'm like, oh, okay. And it didn't break me down because she said it. It broke me down because she was saying how I felt inside. And so you can try to hide whatever you want from anyone. If you feel a certain way, it's going to come out in your idiosyncrasies. And so with that, my goal, number one, from that moment, shout out to her, love you, Brianna, was to lose my stomach. Not because she hated my stomach, not because I hated my stomach. Fat people get a lot of love. I love everybody. that was my goal because I never wanted to be in a position where somebody's words could affect me in the way that hers did. And I was talking to Bobby, right? And I'm not a big fan of First Form. I don't like the supplements, but they have this shirt. It's a I forget what's it called? Pump cover.
Yep.
And on the back of it, it says, "Become undeniable." That was 23-year-old Jonathan's goal, to be built up, to be so steadfast that you can punch me in the face. I'm not even going to move. And so I had so much wisdom back then to know that it's goal number one. Goal number one, lose the stomach. But it's called goal number one for two reasons. One, it's the most important thing, the most important endeavor I'm on. Everything I'm doing is to lose the stomach. But also, it's goal number one because there's more to come. Even before I started and I lost the weight, I was like, once I do lose the stomach, I'll figure out what's next. And we're well past what's next. But that was the start. And then I'll kind of leave it there to see if you have thoughts.
Yeah, no, a couple things to highlight, and then I want to turn it back to you with a question. The podcast name is called The Momentum Shifts. Mm-hmm. So it seems like 2020 was really like your momentum shift, that catalyst moment. And I think you brought up something that's really important to highlight is you talked about awareness. And it seems like Brianna's message to you kind of like already highlighted what was already aware to you, but it created this sense of like drop the hammer, radical self-awareness. Mm-hmm. And once you truly internalize that self-awareness, now you have to take responsibility for it, which is why I think we're so reluctant most of the time. We stay numb to it so that we don't actually have to take responsibility over our problems. Because then once you realize it, you can't go back. Right? Yeah. Now I have to make a change. And once I make a decision, I have to sever every other possibility on the other side of it and actually have to do the thing. My question to you is, in the beginning, the initial motivation was to like never have somebody's words make you feel that way or lose the stomach. How important is it to continue to shift towards more of an internal motivator as opposed to an external motivator? Because my motivations early on were the same exact thing. It was someone that said something that fueled me and things like that. Mm-hmm. But that's like, it's like chasing dopamine. That thing fades real quick. Mm-hmm. I want to be inspired consistently, not just motivated externally. What did you learn about yourself throughout that process as you started to build more of a lifestyle and a journey, not just a destination?
I think that's it. Just what you said, that It is a lifestyle and it's a journey. And so it's the catalyst. That conversation with my ex-girlfriend, that was a catalyst. Needed her. Thank you so much. Thankful for it. 5 years ago, I wouldn't be saying the same thing. I was like, F this, F that, whatever. Yep. I'm getting it done. But then the more and more you be real with yourself and be truthful, you realize, or I realized, I'm seeking external validation. And I've been on this journey for 5 years. And that external validation minimized as time has gone on. I'm going to fast forward real quick, come right back. Yep. I finished my second marathon, still seeking that external validation. Still proving something to an imaginary person that I thought was watching me, to all these people who I think care so much about me, and to myself. And so the external motivation to get started, wonderful. Take it, use it. But as time goes on, it fumbles, it crumbles. And when you have no foundation, what do? You either quit or you keep going. And so I brought up 2017. 2018 and 2019 because those were all times that I quit when I just didn't feel like doing it. And so 2020, the removal of my ex-girlfriend and this new momentum shift that I had told me that it doesn't matter what I do. I simply must start my journey with not quitting. And so it was get women, lose my stomach, become undeniable. That was all wrapped into one. So it was the external event, but it all went internal.
Sure.
Because I needed to lose my stomach to build myself up, to withstand outside forces. But that's not the case anymore. So that's protection. That's what I was doing, protecting myself from my perception of the world. As time goes on, hope dies down because you have all this hope. You're like, this is the time, it's going to work, and you're so excited. And then you get to week 4 and you're like, it's about to take some time. This is hard. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. But because I implemented the concept that all I have to do is not quit, I could fall off. I could mess up. I just had to come back. Give myself grace. Forgive myself. And now as time has progressed, the why has changed. Lose my stomach so I can become undeniable. And then about 11 months into it, I'm at my lowest point. That's not a depressive episode because I feel like I should be here. My friends are doing this. I just graduated. I have no job. And it's like, that's another event. But that all came from within. I need to do better for myself. And so I have the gym. I have the routine. I'm working on it. I get the engineering job. And then it becomes a part of my lifestyle. So in the beginning, this is how I describe it to my clients and anybody who asks about it. I first had to force myself, literally force myself. So I would wake up, drive 45 minutes to college, class all day, work after class, drive 45 minutes home to Planet Fitness at 10, 11, 12, drink pre-workout, and go get it done 5 days a week. Eventually, I invited my sister. It became a fun thing to do together. But at first, I got myself there. Then it becomes something that you are used to. But it's a lot of forcing. Then you get used to it. Then you start to look forward to it. Then you don't even think about it. If I don't go to the gym when I wake up, I got to go to the gym before the day is over. But this whole journey started with taking pre-workout to force myself to go. And so as time has gone on, I got the job, the engineering job. It's in the routine. And then people start to see you as the fit person. 40, 50 pounds down, people are asking me, what am I doing? And so I'm taking on this role. And so God told David he was the king, but then he was in a cave hiding, even though it was already predetermined that he was the king, and people came to him and made him king. And so when it comes to me being a coach, it's not because I was like, I'm doing this so I could be a coach. People came to me, asked me questions, lifted me up to share my knowledge. But even that's not enough. That's not my why anymore. If we fast forward to now, I could do a marathon right now if I wanted. I could lift 500 pounds off the ground. I've done all those things. And I did seek vanity. Like, hey, look at me. I made my Instagram. It's called Jonathan Lifts. So I could show people, look how much Jonathan lifts. But, take inspiration from it. I now view it as Jonathan lifts the people. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, my workouts. It's what's up here. Can I share that with you? That's my goal. And so in February, anxiety comes back, depression comes back. We're all going to die. And it stemmed from this idea that I had in a conversation with my sister. And I said to her, but also to myself, you don't have to prove anything to anyone, especially not yourself. There's nothing else to prove. You already are enough. My whole life, my whole journey was to prove I was enough. I needed to become an engineer to make money because my family was poor. I needed to be fit so I could be a potential suitor and be a great husband. Now it's like, yo, you're enough. So if I'm enough, then why do I need to do anything? What's the point? And my whole shift again, another momentum shift, is movement is a celebration. You get to move. And I want to tell one story and then I'll conclude. I signed up for a half marathon in 2023. Ran 9 miles the first time. It was horrible. Up until then, I ran 8 miles before here and there just for fun. I get to the marathon, the half marathon. I get to mile 10. It's the longest I've ever ran. I cry. Don't know why I'm crying. I cry. I finished the half marathon. Before I even ran that one, I signed up for my first marathon. As I get through training, I'm sharing it with my coworkers because those are the people I see every day. And I tell my team lead, Mark, just ran 15 miles. And this is where I got the idea for the name of my book. He's like, as a joke, 15, Jonathan, you got to do more. I took that, internalized it, do more coming soon. because we could always do more. I get to my 16-mile run, my 18-mile run. I'm just doing it because I worked my way up to it. You don't go straight from 0 to 18. But I get to my 20-mile run, and I'm about to finish it. And I know that it's 19.87. It's coming up. I start crying again. But this time, I realize why I'm crying. I went to a run club, and they said that your strongest moments often make you think of your weakest. And so in that 20-mile run that I'm about to complete, I go back to 16-year-old Jonathan, who is in the hospital, in the bathroom, on the toilet, questioning, do I have to hit this red button? I was going to the bathroom. My legs fell asleep. Chemo attacked my joints. I couldn't lift myself off the toilet. I had to press the button. A female tech had to come in, lift me up. Or 2 male techs came in, lift me up. Somebody wiped my butt, pulled my pants up, and walked me back to my bed. That kid just ran 20 miles. And then when I hit mile 21 in the marathon, I cried again. 23, I cried again. My finish line photo of my first marathon is horrible because I cramped at 24 and I had to muster up everything to cross that finish line. I'm sprinting and crying because that kid that couldn't get himself off the toilet, bald old head, just ran a marathon.
Damn, man. I appreciate everything you're sharing. I mean, it's hitting, I'm pausing because it's hitting home really hard. So I'm trying to make sure that I could stay fluid to this while also just like receiving everything you're saying. So I really appreciate your story. And this is, once again, thank you, Ella. This is a great guest. A lot to unpack there, right? So initially you had started from an external motivation, right? And it's funny because we lie to ourselves a lot because the entire time we're worried about what other people are thinking about us, the entire time they're worried about what we're thinking about them, right? So it's this constant fallacy, and it's all empty until, for me, at least my experience, until we bring God into it. Because God is the next level of higher being and energy that we should aspire to make proud outside of ourselves. And another piece that I want to address, because like I told you earlier, this entire podcast is directed towards my 22-year-old self of like what people that just starting out that need a momentum shift in their life need to implement to create more sustainability instead of hitting a milestone, burning out. And I think weight loss is a huge part of our lives where if we don't create sustainability, it's very easy to lose the weight, gain it back even more. Same in that same cycle. I could speak from experience. I'm a huge subscriber to consistency over intensity. And I know you talk about it a lot, just, consistency, resilience. I mean, consistency wins is like that's our brand of everything. And so I created this system around dialing these really large goals, right? Like you had went through an 80-pound weight loss journey. That doesn't happen overnight, right? And I think where sometimes we go, I don't want to say wrong, but suboptimally, is that we try and lose 80 pounds in a month. Instead of like, if I don't have any bit of habit showing up to the gym for a consistent amount of time, I'm just good. Like the way that I finally created sustainability was just like, I'm going to commit to walking around the block 1 time a day. And then the next day I'm going to do the same thing and show up. And eventually that's going to start to jog around the block. Then you're going to jog a little bit further. Then you're going to get to the gym. Then you're going to get to the gym and do more. It's like Atomic Habits. If you ever read that book, it's just, just constantly creating a system to where your habits are a reflection of your desired self, so that you can keep that consistency. What do you like? How are you going about coaching your clients when it comes to weight loss around creating this as a practice when there's a lot of people that are coming to you at their lowest point maybe in their lives where they're 100 pounds overweight and they want to radically lose, and nowadays Ozempic's on the table, all these types of things where we can have these quick fixes. How are you coaching them around building sustainability as a practice?
I love it. First things first, I think the most important thing with anybody who's getting a coach is make sure you like your coach.
Sure.
Make sure if somebody said, yo, you're just like your coach, that'd be a good thing.
Yep.
Not just because they look good, not just because they have the perfect sales pitch and the offer that they're giving you feels amazing and it's wonderful and it's going to help. make sure you like the person that's speaking to you, because as humans, we learn and we develop and we grow through osmosis. What I show you does more for you than what I tell you. And when I talk to my clients, just to finish that statement, I tell them that what I'm saying to you is simply words until you experience it. So for you, everybody in this room, everybody watching, listening, if you worked out before, I can tell you this, and it'll make sense if you worked out before, and if you didn't work out before, it won't make sense. When you get to the last 3 reps on your set, it's going to feel like your muscle's on fire and your muscle fibers are about to rip off the bone. You would agree?
Yep.
I tell them that. So to somebody who hasn't worked out, they don't know what that feels like. But when it happens, then they'll be able to say, Coach said this was going to happen. And so when it comes to the sustainability factor, I tell my clients, anybody who wants to join my program, anybody that's in my program, that I'm not teaching you anything new. I am simply reminding you of what you have forgotten in the moment that you need it most. And really what it comes down to is all we have to do is take action. And as a coach, I didn't get this out of a textbook. I didn't learn through studying. I did it. I lost 80 pounds. So anything I'm telling you as a client is what I've been through or what one of my clients has been through. But majority of the time, anything that any of my clients go through, I've been through. I don't prepare for my calls at all. I just show up, I speak, and I've never had a terrible call. I've never said, I don't know the answer to that question. I've always been there. But to get back to the question, when people join my program, I tell them that they're paying for me to care about them. You're not paying for my meal plan. You're not paying for my workout plans. You can find all that on Google. You can go do a whole weight loss journey on your own. You're paying me to care about you, sometimes more than you care about yourself, as a reminder that you need to care about yourself. With that, when it comes into the actual practicality of the program, I always tell them, as your coach, this is call 1, I expect you to mess up. 100%. It's going to happen. What we're doing is entering into an experimentation phase. So we're just going to see what works, see what doesn't. When I set that precedent in the coach chair, they're like, okay, that's cool. What they don't know is that it's always going to be an experimentation phase. Mm-hmm. There is no end. But I get them to agree to it and like, all right, bet. And I tell them that if you have the most terrible week, you eat Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, ice cream every single day, and you don't leave bed for an entire week, but you hop on this call with me, you won that week because you showed up. And so with that, I have clients where I pled with them to go to the gym once this week. 9 months later, we're discussing how to bench 225 on the bench press. And so I work with them one step at a time. I set the bar low in a way that they don't feel belittled. And then from there, they show up. Then they mess up. And then they show up, mess up, show up, mess up less, show up more, mess up less, and they crawl. And in these conversations, I see who they already are in the future, and I'm drawing from that to speak into them. Sometimes I'm talking a lot and uplifting. Sometimes I'm listening a lot. I just let them know I'm here with you every step of the way, and I am who I wanted on my own journey for them. Yeah. And it's not for the money, because that's what happened in February. I was like, I'm going to get a BMW. I'm going to do this, that. It's because I care about you. I don't even know you. And now that I'm newly saved, it's because God loves everyone. I'm in this position to show you his love. I just get to be a vessel, and I get to witness it as well. So thank him for letting me be able to experience the joy. But it's as simple as that. It's showing people empathy, grace, and teaching them to forgive themselves. And I set the precedent by saying the goal here isn't to lose weight. The goal is to live a lifestyle where weight loss is a byproduct. The goal isn't to never fail. Instead, it's to come back from every single failure. That way, failure is expected.
Yeah. Dude, you're so well spoken. I love it. And the reason why I believe you're so well spoken is because you've lived through it. I love the way that we're so aligned on how to pick up new habits is get quick wins. And that comes by like really dialing into the micro. It's like, don't try and get such a big win so early. Just like look at showing up on this call as a win. So you start gaining that self-confidence, because I'm a huge believer that progress equals happiness, and happiness equals self-confidence. And the way that you create self-confidence is simply by doing the hard shit you say you're going to do every single day, so that you prove to yourself that you are that person. So you're almost like virtually like faking it till you make it, because you're acting as if you're that person already, and your habits are starting to align with that. How important is it to you that whenever you're getting coached by somebody else, that person's actually gone through what you're looking to go through? Because I'm a big believer in coaching, mentorship, but I won't hire a coach or a mentor that actually hasn't gone through the journey that what they're saying, that, and they're not teaching from theory. So like, for example, like if I'm going to hire a weight loss coach, I'm probably not going to hire a fat guy. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's everything for me. I would love to shed light on that for you. Cause when I was first starting out in this game, a lot of people say they got scammed in courses, coaches, and all that stuff. You're experimenting and you don't know who to look for. Help us understand, like, when somebody's looking for a coach, what should they be looking for?
Okay. I want to get to that, but you said something that I have to talk about.
Yeah. I appreciate how well you listen to. So.
Fake it till you make it.
Yep.
That's a saying that's thrown around a lot. That's it. That is the layman's term of the actual only true way to achieve anything in this world.
Be, do, have.
Right. And so I read this book. It's called The Power of Awareness. Have you read it?
No, I heard really good things about it.
Okay. You will read it. You will read it. It speaks of I am. And he says, be still and know that I am. And you could end it right there, and that's it. That's his message to us. But as his disciples, we can use it. And I was using it before I was his disciple. And it speaks about how powerful the words I am are, because they shape your entire being, both consciously and subconsciously. And I want to talk about that a little bit before I get to the question, if that's
please.
all right.
Please.
Because if you say, I'm going to start, or I'm trying to, you are inadvertently saying I am not. And when your brain hears or perceives I am not, it shuts off, it accepts it as it is. If you say I'm a millionaire, you are telling your brain that you are, and you will start to mold your entire life to be that of a millionaire. And I have two quick stories I'll tell about it.
Please.
In the book, it talks about creation. Creation's done, right? You're not getting updates. You're not getting anything installed. You already have within you everything you need to be whatever you need to be. So if you agree that creation's complete, then you already are enough. And then a story to show the I am. If I take a block of metal and another block of metal, and I put them together and let go of this other block of metal, this one falls. Now, if I take a teeny tiny magnet and attach it to this block of metal, and then bring this other block of metal over and let go, they now stick together because this metal became magnetic. Nothing about the structure of that block changed except for the rotation of the electrons. If you change your internal understanding of yourself, your external changes. And so this fake it till you make it is your superpower. And so when I end my clients with my calls with my clients, I say, you are incredible. And they have to say,
I'm incredible.
You are capable of the extraordinary.
I'm capable of the extraordinary.
You are right where you need to be.
I'm right where I need to be.
Doing exactly what needs to be done.
Doing exactly what needs to be done.
And it's just a little call and response, but they don't know that they are changing their entire life because I'm teaching them to fake it till they make it.
So good. And that's scientifically, I didn't realize, because I was doing this just like intuitively, but then I started to study quantum physics and how that is like the science of proving God exists. It's not against God. It's actually built upon the principles of faith. Okay. I'm gonna send you a book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. If you've ever read it,
no,
dude,
please do.
Dude, everything that you're alluding to, this like breaks down how it's all about it. Being recently saved. Now, you had mentioned that you'd been baptized. You felt like God has been with you this entire time, but then there's another like beautiful catalysm momentum shift. You mentioned that's about a month ago. I want to learn about that experience itself, but then I also want to talk about how you think that's going to start to shift how you practice your coaching. Because now gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. How does that start to shape how you're going about coaching your clients now from biblical principles?
Okay. And to respect you, I want to answer that other question too.
Yeah.
When you pick a coach, if they sound too good to be true, they are. If you can tell from them that they've been through a tough time, you know that they're going to have your back when your tough time comes. I have widows, people that have lost partners, who have terrible fathers. We're all overweight for a reason, me and all my clients, and I have insight that I couldn't have learned from somewhere else that can help them. And I think that's what's important. And you need to make sure your coach knows what he's talking about or she's talking about. They're just not blowing smoke. Now, when it comes to how is my business about to change, it's not. And before I went to camp and I learned more about Jesus and all that, I was surrendering. But a part of me was like, I don't know who I'm about to become. I could go be called to do this or called to do that. And it was like, I have to surrender to it. But as of right now, it's unknown. I'm right where I need to be doing exactly what needs to be done. Because I didn't get into my dream college. I failed out of my dream college because I hated math. I became an engineer, and it was great. But it was a catalyst that could fund me while I became an online coach. The opportunity to become a coach landed in my lap, and I said, I would be dumb not to take this. I've always been outgoing. I've always been a people person throughout the story that I've been telling you. That's one aspect. The coaching, it landed in my lap. And it got to a point where once I got my engineering job, my best friend's dad said, all right, what's next? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what my life is. I come to Tampa, and I visited for a week before I move in. When I did my first marathon, it was in Clearwater. I met with my friend Tang, who was a pastor and a great businessman. And he helped me realize that the coaching, the social media, the content that I've been doing is my purpose, not my passion. And since February of last year, I've been exploring what that purpose means. And I put myself into a social media influencer, an online coach box for a long time. This person has success doing this. That person has success doing that. I'm going to do those things. Always felt disingenuous to me. And with that, you say I'm very well spoken. Everybody's been saying that. People are telling me I'm wise. And as a side note, I realize I'm wise because of how much fear of death I've had. That fear is now just translated to fear of God. And so that wisdom that he gave me, it was wisdom. I am wise. Not because I'm saying I'm wise. I'm not brashly saying that. And so to summarize all of that, to be here on this podcast, to be writing my book, to be in the Toastmasters public speaking group that I'm in, it was all by design, where I just said, okay, I'll do this. Okay, I'll do that. And felt something inside me pulling towards this direction that I'm living. And people are telling me now that I'm saved, I'll be a pastor or a preacher. And I'm like, I'm not against it.
Yep. I
just don't know if it's right now. And I think the current position I'm in is I'm a middleman now. All the while, I've been showing the love of God, not knowing it. Because even in my depressive states, earlier this year, I'd hop on calls with my clients and go off and have great calls, turn that off, come back to my own misery. And so whenever I'm in the act of doing the coaching or being the coach, love of God is going through. I'm now asking my clients, are you religious? And if they are, I talk about it. I'm not the type of person, my perception, I don't believe I'm going to be the type of person that says, you need Jesus. Open the Bible, read the Bible. But I've learned how to talk about my journey without faith in a way it's like, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. I read this today. And so that's how I'm spreading the love of God. And when I went to camp, they said, you have to be a vessel. You're not going to be able to get through this camp. It was with inner city kids. And I got hands-on experience about being in a vessel, fitting into positions I had no experience in. And respectfully, God let me crush it. And so when it comes to this coaching, it relates to the camp because I'm loving the unlovable. I'm respectfully touching the untouchable. And so I'm the segue between those who are lost and found. While I'm still growing in knowledge, I'm instantly hopping into faith as a servant and a student. And the best way to learn is through experience and reading. And I've said that for years. And now that's exactly what I'm doing. And as a immediate gratification, an immediate bonus to newly being saved, I want to share two things. One, God gave me a welcome package. I guess it's one thing. God gave me a welcome package. I had this friend where we didn't know what we were to each other. Crossed boundaries, but nothing drastic. So much disarray between us. Accepted Jesus, was like praying on it, got an answer, and we're now separated. We're no longer a part of each other's lives because we held on to each other for so long, it was against his wishes. Also, I'm reading a dating book, and it talks about how you're, like, if that's not your spouse, you don't touch them. And so, in a very real sense, I inappropriately touched somebody else's wife. So my punishment is so graceful that we get to separate. She gets to be loved. I get to be loved. Thank you for the separation. My father, who was an alcoholic my entire life, I forgave him and asked him for forgiveness before camp. I took him to lunch after camp. Tells me he stopped drinking. No AA, no program. Said Father's Day was the last day I drank. My best friend is getting married. And he's big in faith, and I wasn't. But we've always been number one best friends. And I thought that the faith separation would separate us. After camp, he called me and said, hey, I want you to be my best man, right? And there's just more people now in my life that have been in my life that are men and women of God that are like sprouting up as flowers now. Mm-hmm. And the people I thought I needed to be connected with aren't them at all. And it's these people that have just always been there as shadow figures. And the welcome package, it may still be going on. I'm still new.
Yep.
July 11th, my brother says, hey, can we FaceTime? So this is my adopted little brother. His older brother and I were best friends up until 2020 when I decided I needed to change some things, kind of went down different routes. Working on mending that friendship, though. But I took his little brother because he lost his father at age 5. And his older brother going through his own things. So I was like, I'm responsible for you. You couldn't tell me otherwise that wasn't my little brother. He's been to Tampa. That is little bro. After I come home from camp, I tell him my story, my experience. I talk about the welcome package. He says, on July 11th, guess what I did yesterday, bro? He said, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. He was reading the Bible and doing stuff, but didn't do the actual acceptance. So the baptism that I have coming up next month, it's just an outward reflection of an inward change. And so he comes to me and tells me he accepted Jesus Christ. And the welcome package has been crazy, to say the least.
And I think we can continue the welcome package, but it's about creating a level of practices and discipline and consistency around your faith. Because when you first, when I, at least I'll speak from my experience, when you first accept Jesus, there's like this overwhelming sense of peace and joy, so much support and everything. But sadly, it's not the ending of a beautiful fairy tale movie. You go back to your life.
Yeah.
And like, as much as you want to radically eliminate all the people that weren't great influences, there's still like this normalcy that you're around. There, not everyone's on the same wavelength. It could even be family. Perfect example is like you were alluding to everyone, like people telling you, hey, this, you should believe in Jesus. That's, in my opinion, the worst way to get people to believe in Jesus. And that was what Catholicism was for me. It seems like we both got baptized Catholic. I don't want to assume.
Oh, no.
But, okay,
no.
got it.
Baptist.
Got it. Okay, got it. So just even like religious sects themselves, what I've come to find is that there's so much like virtue signaling around the religions because it's more of like a power thing and less of an actual faith thing. And so for me, that's where I was like, okay, I need to step into this new season of my Christianity where I get to decide who my mentors are, who I lean on for this, what my journey looks like, not just what some virtue signaling person that pretends to be perfect is telling me what that looks like. And then the way that we've been able to bring people to faith has been by going through the shit that requires you to get to the other side of actually being a part of it and inspiring others to actually see your peace, see your progress, and then they start to make a change. I know I just went on kind of like a tangent there, but I think that that's a super important note for a lot of people that are going through this journey. How do you intend to keep the spark alive? Because you're riding a beautiful wave. You want this welcome gift to continue to come. What does your level of consistency and discipline look like when it comes to your faith?
So before I even became saved, I signed up to be a greeter. And that's a testament of who I am. The things that I can't change are the reason you love me. I would run in Tampa, wherever I'm at, and make it a goal to say hi to everybody. That's for my social anxiety, which... What? I have social anxiety? I did. It was like approaching people was the scariest thing in the world. And when I went to the open house at Radiant, they said, yeah, we have a job where you just say hi to people. I said, I'm in there. Yep. And so I've signed up to be a greeter. The camp that I signed up for happened right after I signed up to be a greeter because I said, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do that. Because my best friend, Adam, who I'll be the best man in his wedding, has done it 4 years in a row. So I was like, all right, I'll go. Camp is fun. Transformational experience. I'll be back. I joined the men's business group before I was even saved, and that was a big catalyst of why I got saved. Can I talk about that?
Please.
And so the men's business group is for business leaders, and it's not a Bible study, just a group talking about faith. And that day, they do something called Wins and Wars. You talk about things that are going great, things you're struggling with. And I'm telling them about I'm not saved, but I'm here, struggling with his depression, struggling with my father, was on the verge of forgiving him, telling my story. An older gentleman is like, afterwards, I want to talk with you later. I'm like, cool. I'm down with meeting with strangers, people I don't know, and having great conversations. And later on in the day, this is the first day I gave my first speech at my public speaking group. Crushed it. Flawlessly. That wasn't me. I didn't know it though. I go and I talk to this guy and he starts to tell me the story of the Bible. I'm like, all right, dog. The rapture and this, that. I'm not gonna lie, this shit's kind of scary. I actually didn't sign up for this. Like, why are you talking at me right now? Then it shifts and he starts talking to me. He's like, you talked about forgiving your father. You have to do it fully and unconditionally right now. He says, Jesus only comes to those who call for him. And you need to call on him now at your lowest, not when you're ready. So if we talk about the journey, I've been going to church. I signed up to be a greeter. I signed up to go to camp. I was like, all right, one day I'll do it. I'll get baptized. I'll accept Jesus. When he said that, I was like, okay, on the car ride home, I'm going to accept Jesus. And then he continues talking, and he's like, you know what? I could tell you're a private person. You're going to need to do that conversation on your own. I think part of his flesh expected me to say right then and there. Yep. But then God told him. And he's telling me I have to reach out to all the people that I've wronged, ask for forgiveness. Depression, anxiety, alcohol, porn, lust is a spirit. You must cast it out, replace it with scripture. So he's giving me good stuff to start with. So on the car ride home, I go, hey, God, if you're there, I don't know if you're there. I just want to say I accept you as my Lord and Savior. I don't know what that means. I'm scared. I have doubts. I have questions. And it's a whole conversation, but I did it. I'm speaking out loud on the car ride home. I tell my sister, my brother, my best friend, and everybody around me is already a Christian. I'm the last. All of my tight circle. And so with that, peace came. I used to be afraid to go to sleep at night. I had fear throughout the day. And it was just peace that didn't make sense. And then I go to camp and all of that happens. And I forget where we were even going with the question. But how do I keep it going? Continue to show up to the men's business group. Continue to show up to church on Sundays. Greet at church on Sundays. Respond to ministry options. My therapist is a faith-based therapist. I speak about Jesus with my little brother, my older brother, my sister, my roommate. I have a book right now for devotionals where I spend a day reading. Right now I'm doing Proverbs, one chapter, thinking about it, praying about it. And so I have this idea of a routine for weight loss and showing up and consistency that I can now just implement with the faith, but I also have the resilience. And so in the podcast I was on yesterday, he said, Alex Hormozi said, toughness is the courage to follow a path. Resilience is whatever you need to get back on the path once you've fallen off. And so I have so much wisdom, not self-appointed, because I've had so much fear in my life. And God has given me that wisdom, because fear is the start of wisdom. Now I know it's fear of God. And then I have all of this resilience. I've ran 5 marathons, and they were not pretty. I have the resilience. I have the traumas that I have persevered through to get me through. And one, I don't know what it is, what verse it is, but it's, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I don't take that as, okay, you're good, you're taken care of. Because yesterday I had an anxiety attack. It came back. Immediately prayed, opened the Bible app, read Matthew 11:8 or something, and it spoke exactly to what I was going through. Let it go. And so to keep the spark alive, I'm treating it just like my fitness, my weight loss journey, and doing something every single day.
Yeah. And one thing I want to highlight from what you were sharing is like, look how imperfect that and messy that sounds like as well. Like, I think people think it's the most beautiful, organized, sexy thing when you accept Jesus Christ in your life, where you're like, when you first in the car going to accept, you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah. It's awkward, at least for me when I'm talking. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. That's the beauty in it, right? And then you start to learn a little bit more how to craft the way that your faith is derived from, and then you get mentors around it. But it's more of a mess than not, and I love it. It's the wrestle with God, and it's not easy. It only gets harder, in my opinion. Like, I think in the Bible it talks about, like, when you make the decision to follow Jesus, your life gets harder. It could be more peaceful, but when you have to make decisions, the decisions are significantly harder because it's a much higher stake. You're not willing to compromise on the non-negotiables you once were. You're talking about in Proverbs, so I had this one written down just on the topic of gluttony and weight loss and things. Proverbs 23:20-21 says, do not join those who drink too much wine or gorge themselves on meat, for drunkards and gluttons become poor, and drowsiness clothes them in rags. So just one little note that you could potentially use in your coaching as well, just when it connects health and biblical wisdom. Dude, I want to really appreciate how much you've poured in this podcast, man. I feel like we've been able to take a relationship that sometimes takes months and years to build, and like just us being super vulnerable, you're able to just create a level of rapport with people that that's why I love podcasting so much. Hey, Smelly, come here. Come on, lay down in your bed. Good girl. Sorry about that. That's Ella joining the podcast. My last question, if you'll allow me to ask this. You mentioned Aunt Brenda is no longer with us in the flesh, but she seemed like an instrumental character in this whole thing. The man you always were, but have uncovered yourself to be in this moment at 28 years old. What do you have to say to her? What would you say to her if she were here?
Wow. I would say you were right. That's it. You were right. There was a time I asked Aunt Brenda, why did I survive? And she said with a smile, God kept you alive for a reason. You were right.
Yes, she was, man. Jonathan, thank you so much, man. We appreciate your vulnerability. Appreciate you showing up the way you do. Blessed to have met you. Blessed to immediately, I feel, calling you a friend. Just excited that I have someone in Tampa that we can walk this journey with, and just keep doing you, man. You're doing a great job. So appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. And even when I moved to Tampa, I've always said, I'm happy to be here. People would give me glory and say, you're so great. And even before I was saved, I would say, I'm just a man. I'm no better than anyone. But I realized that I have a gift, the gifts that he's given me. And it's my job to share them. Mm-hmm. And this podcast is helping me live my purpose, helping you live your purpose, and hopefully helping somebody live their purpose. And I'm just happy to be here. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Amen. Good stuff, man.